Hello, I'm Dominic Maria. I'm an agent with Porcupine Real Estate. I am here today with Liz Going from Prime Lending for another installment of our financing FAQs. So today we're going to be talking more about VA loans, and we are going to be talking about the concept or the rumor that VA loans are more difficult to get approved than traditional financing loans. So, Liz, what has been your experience, and um, what criteria does a house need to meet? Minimum criteria does a house need to meet in order to hit that approval for a VA loan?
Yeah, so the VA, what they're really looking for is they want to make sure that the veterans are not buying houses and using their government benefit to buy houses that are going to create problems for them long term, right? So the three pillars of the VA theory, I guess if you want to say it that way, is safe, sound, sanitary. Those are the three things that VA is looking for in a property. So most common here up in New England, because a lot of the houses, we have the oldest housing stock in the country. So as you know, a lot of these houses have wood siding, cedar siding, wood frames, stuff like that. And for that reason, because of our harsh winters, they need to be repainted every, 5 to 7 years. That's just how it is. Back before lead paint was outlawed in the 70s, we used to have serious problems with, kids getting sick from lead poisoning. Nowadays the VA recognizes that there most likely is not lead paint. However, there is still that concern. But the bigger problem with VA loans since then is what is the exposed wood as a result of lead of peeling paint? What is that going to do to the veteran's house long term, by not having that protective barrier against the elements? So a lot of the times in New England, when I'm working with VA clients, is that the house has peeling paint, it'll never go VA. Simple solution for that is to talk to your lender and ask them if they do escrow holdbacks, or if they strictly will do escrow holdbacks for weather related things, meaning in the frigid January, or if they'll do an escrow holdback just to get the job done. Or another thing you can do is a VA renovation loan to fix these sorts of things. You just get a quote from a painter, you close like normal, and then after closing, all the work gets done. And then we send out the appraiser to make sure that the work was done, generally within 180 days of closing.
So, with that in mind, is it required to get a lead paint test when you get a VA loan, or no?
No, typically no. They're just going to go, the appraiser is going to go to the property, and they're going there just with a clipboard basically, and something to take photos with. And so they're going to look at the property, and if they determine that there is peeling paint, they're just going to condition that the paint be remediated.
Okay. So it's not an automatic disqualification if there is peeling paint. There are ways to make it work still.
Yes, there are solutions that are VA loan specific to make it work that not a lot of people know. It's not an immediate, kill all. Again, you can come at it with a buyer or seller funded escrow holdback, depending on your lender, or VA renovation loans, again, depending on what's on the lender's menu for VA loans.
Great. And so aside from peeling paint, what are other things that would be red flags or things that would need to be addressed right away as far as a VA loan goes?
Yeah.
Conditions.
So go ahead.
No, just for conditions of the house, not like financing or anything like that.
Yeah. So another question that I get a lot has to do with wells, because we do have a lot of houses here in New Hampshire. I think a majority of our housing stock is on wells, right? So we get that question a lot. This house is on a dug well. That's not a problem on VA as long as it doesn't affect the marketability of the property. That's acceptable. Another question that we get that gets confused a lot with VA is the distance between the septic and the well, right?
Okay.
On FHA appraisals, they require that the appraiser draws out a sketch of the property for where the well is and where the septic system is. Obviously, you don't want those two being too close. But VA
Okay.
in the handbook, they don't say anything about that. As long as the appraiser has general knowledge of where things are, and as long as when the house was constructed, that was okay with the town at the time, VA does not have that same requirement that FHA does with the 75 feet distance.
Great.
VA does require a well water test, though, being said. They don't specify what water test has to be done in the handbook, just that one has to be done. I usually recommend for the 5 primary EPA pollutants: lead, nitrates, nitrites, coliform, E. coli.
And if a water test came back with bad results, that would have to be mediated before closing, or can it be done after closing?
Usually there has to be something in place that has to be done before. A lot of the times if it's, like E. coli or coliform, those are things that are easily treatable. Depending on the levels of what comes back on the test, they may or may not require that something has to be done. And then that's something that we could do. Again, we can fix it with a renovation loan or something like that. So it doesn't have to be the seller's problem.
And do you know if that's something that could be, if there's already a water treatment system in place, would that take that condition out?
Yep. Yeah.
Great. Good to know.
Mhm. So as long as, again, the VA wants to make sure the house is safe, sound, sanitary for the veterans. They don't want to be putting veterans in houses with black mold infestations with, water that's going to make them sick in a house that's rotting apart around them. That's not the VA's goal.
Makes sense. Well, great. Thank you so much, Liz. That was very informative. If anyone has specific questions about what we should be looking for, where can they contact you?
So, and you can contact me via email. You can follow me on any of my socials at Liz Going LO. And for my veterans, you can grab a copy of your VA home loan guide from my website, www.goingva.com.
Well, great. Thank you for joining us here today. Have a great day, everybody.